guys, what is going on? Blossom's back. Welcome back to another episode of South Drives. Now, often when we talk about prize cards on the channel, I'm usually talking about, ranking the prize cards that we haven't gotten yet, and what are the cards that I want to see come to the game the most, or, what are the prize cards that I want to compete for the most, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. But I never talk about the ones that I miss. So today we're actually going to be talking about my failures. And it was really sad, actually, when I was compiling photos of every single prize card that I have missed out throughout my career in Top Drives. What makes it extra sad is that Dodge just doesn't do reruns anymore. Remember when we had reruns? Remember when that was the thing? Yeah, that just doesn't happen anymore, does it? So I was taking a screenshot of all the cards that I missed out on, and at the start, it wasn't that bad. When you start from like the Porsche and then like you go all the way down to, I want to say maybe like the Bentley over here, it didn't really sting that much. And then the moment you start at the Hyundai and then you go to the M8 and then you look at things like the Cayenne Turbo and then you got like the heavy hitters down here, I'm just like, damn, yeah, I missed a lot. I actually missed a lot of really good prize cards, right? I don't know, like if I had to compile a team of prize cards that I've won versus prize cards that I didn't win, which team would you want to be on? You know what I mean? Like, think about the prize cards that I've won, right? We're thinking things like the Peugeot T16, or the Audi WRX, or the Peugeot WRX, or the Koenigsegg Jesko Absolute, or Hennessy F5, or things like that. I still think that the cars I won, it's a better team, but there's a pretty stacked lineup of cars I didn't get. So I'm gonna make this a very simple tier list. As you can see, there are only 4 ranks. I wanted it, I needed it, filler, and that was awarded before, like prize cards, which I just forget that it was even there. We're gonna start off the Porsche Cayman GT4. This, in my opinion, I think only came out once, and ironically, if I remember correctly, the requirements for this was actually 5 times Dodge. But it was a very twisty-centric event, and it was like really early on in American Dream. And this was a final that was geared towards the people that got the Vipers the earliest. I did not get the Vipers the earliest. If you remembered, Fate, if you have it, was, was a little bit of an asshole. I got 5 green Hellcats, nothing else. No wide bodies, no Chargers, no Vipers, none of that. Just 3 green Hellcats before anything else. And obviously I didn't have all of them fully upgraded at the time, so I couldn't get the Cayman GT4, so that was freaking, it was crazy. I can't believe I missed that out. I can't remember if it came back again in a different opportunity, but it's still a car that I remain not having in my garage. Now moving on to the Alpha 155 Super Touring, I'm going to say that's like filler. At one point, you could say that I needed it. Because there were very little front-wheel drive prize cars in the game that were able to get over 100 handling at the time when the Alpha was given out on the first time. But since then, every single update that we've had has at least introduced like one front-wheel drive tire car that's an epic that can go over 100 handling. Now we have ultra rare front-wheel drive cars that can go over 100 handling. So I think the Alpha kind of failed the test of time. It still is classified as a saloon, which is pretty cool because most of the front-wheel drive slick tire cars are hatchback, so it has a little bit going for it, but overall it's filler. I don't need it anymore. The Vauxhall VXR GTS, I remember when this was given out. It was such a meme because everyone was like, wow, this is like the worst prize car. I think it was a tri-series as well, and everyone was like, seriously, what the hell, like why does anybody want to compete for this? And again, like the Alpha, I think it just failed the test of time, right? It's pretty okay, especially when it was first introduced into the game before Learn the Savannah Way. It was okay in the sense that it was a medium ground clearance rear-wheel drive saloon that didn't have as RQ inflates it because of like 4-wheel drive, traction, 4-wheel drive drivetrain, like all the Mitsubishis in the game, right? You get a Mitsubishi at RQ72 and they will always lose to the Vauxhall VXR8 because, they just have slightly higher RQ because they're 4-wheel drive. So the VXR8 was okay, but now we've learned the Savannah Way and it just brought a bunch more medium ground clearance, rear-wheel drive saloons. The Vauxhall is pretty indifferent, and American Overdrive actually made this car even more irrelevant because it brought like the black wings, for example. The Vauxhall Forenza Baby Bertha, again, it's filler. I'm only gonna put cars that I literally forgot was awarded and that was awarded before. I do remember not getting the Forenza Baby Bertha. I do believe it was either the Christmas challenge or it was horror show, one or the other. But it was one thing for me not to be able to get the legendary. It's another thing for me not to even be able to get the epic. I didn't get the epic, but the Forenza has been useless. I mean, the only time I've seen the Forenza been used is like Vauxhall times 5 in clubs. Nothing else. So it's filler. 22B filler as well. Range Rover Sport SVR. This car came out a couple times, but honestly, it's just all filler. The Bentley Sir Peter Blake, yeah, that was filler as well. This car was a bit of a meme. I would say this one and the VXR8. These two cars are kind of like, just like, the hell? Why would anybody want that? You know, like 83 handling? Oh, come on. The Porsche 911 GT3 RS 4.0. Yeah, I wanted that. I think when it came out as a prize car, it was a legendary. Then it went down to epic, but it's not been back since. If I remember correctly, my knowledge on the history is a little bit clouded, but I think this was given out as a prize car. I didn't get the chance of getting it at the time. Now it's just a relatively decent epic, but hey, I'm a huge Porsche guy, and this tier list kind of speaks for itself because the only two cars that are under I wanted it just happen to be Porsches, right? So hopefully they'll come back one day, probably not anytime soon. The Spiker, I really want to put it in. That was awarded before, but that was horror show, wasn't it? I believe that was horror show, so I remember that. It's filler. Yeah, I mean, the thing is just terrible. I'm gonna move it down here anyway. It deserves a disrespect. The Maserati MC12 Stradale is filler. This car, I mean, the reason I put it twice was because there were so many opportunities to get this prize car. There was a Tri-Series, there was a Tri-Series rerun, then you could have gotten it in like one of 3 prize cars. It was like either this, the CN, or like the Carrera GT or something like that. And that opportunity came out twice as well, if I remember correctly. But I just never chose it, and now it's just sitting there as an RQ80. Probably gonna be an epic one day. So, oh well. For GTX 1, this was a GT series. Again, I needed it. I would say that I needed it, and that's based off the fact that it's an American car. And it has really good MRA, but I'm glad that the Falcon Super, whatever, the Learn the Savannah Way saloon car is just a better Ford dragster. Now it's got more MRA and is a lower 0 to 60. But the Ford GTX one's pretty cool. Like I kind of wanted it. Okay, yeah, I wanted it. I didn't need it. I wanted it mainly because it was American. But I couldn't finish the GT series. I couldn't remember what the requirements were. The CTS-V, again, I wanted it. This was given out a long time ago. This was like October 2019. I was on a pretty good legendary prize car win run at the time of the CTS-V. I think that was when they were giving out things like the Roof CTR3 Club Sport, the BMW M4, I think it was M4 GTS, right? And then there was also the Moby Dick. So the first time, if you ever won the Moby Dick, it was around that time with the Cadillac CTS-V as well. So I won all those prize cars, but I missed out on the CTS-V. It was around Halloween 2019. Missed out on that. But I think this car will soon become irrelevant if they release the American Overdrive counterparts in the near future. Dita Miles to P72, that was awarded before? I think it was Veteran Challenge? I can't remember. Cadillac CN. Again, it came out with the Stradale, really inconsequential to me. Citroen GT, that was awarded before? I think it was a GT series. Can't quite remember. Capo! Oh, Capo hurts. Capo hurts. I won Desperados, and I won Heavy Metal, but I didn't win Coast to Coast because I didn't have a Performance Tire Legend. And I'm putting the emphasis on performance tires because people keep giving me shit that I sold the Range Rover. Dude, it would not have helped in the final round. So I didn't have a second performance tire Legend. Couldn't pull either the Lamborghini or like a Corvette or anything like that. That one, I think this one hurts the most. I'm gonna put this up here. This one hurts the absolute most. Not getting the Capo. I won Desperados, I won Heavy Metal, and I won whatever the hell came before Coast to Coast. I would trade all those 3 prize cars for the Capo. So I would give in my Chevy Beast, I would give in that Skoda thing, and like I'll take the Capo for it any day. I mean, if I won the Capo, I would have won the Borrego. And if I won the Borrego, I actually would have won the Bugatti Divo, which I also wanted. So, yeah, it just so happened, right? That kind of just fell in place like dominoes, right? For example, this most recent Tri-Series that we had for the Brabham, which I did win, the Tier 1 prize car, or the Tier 1 qualifier prize car, the Epic. Yeah, I decided to win that. It was completely useless in the final. Didn't do shit for me. Of course, right? When I win tier 1 in the quals, it doesn't do anything. When I miss it, that's when I just lose everything, right? Moving on is the Bristol Fighter T. Yeah, I wanted it. I honestly wanted it. It's a prize card that I feel like not a lot of people really cared about. It was a GT series as well. I missed a lot of GT series. I hate GT series. But yeah, I missed out on it. But I really wanted it because it had a really low 0 to 60, really high top speed. Okay, not a low 0 to 60, but it had a really high top speed, really good MRA, and I knew what it was. I knew the value that it brought as an RQ82. It held its own weight, and it was one of the best, RQ82, 83 dragsters at the time. I think at the time when it was given out, I think it was like even 85. But the Bristol Fighter T was amazing, and I still want it, honestly. It's a bit weird. I know a lot of people aren't really interested in that car, but I am. What? Okay, the Beast as well. Honestly, the Beast, I genuinely cannot remember if the Beast was released. This might be in here, and it might have never been released before. The Beast, the Resvanis to me are just so, obscure that I just don't even know which was released and which wasn't. So I might be wrong. That car may have never been released before, but I'm just gonna put it in. That was awarded before. Pagani's Honda 760 RS. This came out a couple times. I think 2 or 3, minimum 2. Missed out both of it. I mean, it's a pretty cool car. I feel like I would have wanted it more if the photo was a little bit nicer. I'm just not a fan. The photo looks really boring to me. Especially for a Pagani, you gotta show the silhouette, it looks 2D to me. Maybe if it was a better photo, I would have wanted it a little bit more, but it just seems a bit boring. Koenigsegg CC GT was next. Again, it was kind of filler for my opinion. I mean, 95 handling for a slick tire car, considering you got like 97 handling McLarens here, there, front and center. I got things like the Apollo I Intenza Emozi on it, which isn't, even slick, it's performance tires. But, I have a lot of slick tire, legendary prize cars, so the Koenigsegg was filler, didn't really need it. The Infiniti Q50 Eau Rouge, again, it was kind of filler. It was another GT series. Porsche 911 GT1 Evo, honestly, like, that was awarded. Like, I genuinely can't remember. And I think the reason why I can't remember if this car was awarded or not was because it keeps getting photo changes. So when this was given out as a prize car, I don't think it had this photo. I think it got a photo change afterwards. So I can't even remember. Like, I'm a visual learner. I also remember things visually. So if it has an old G photo, I might remember it. But if it has a newer photo, I might not remember it. LC1 Spider, I kind of wanted it. It was kind of for a weird reason though. It's because it's one of my Patreon's favorite prize cars. It's Jakob's favorite prize car. And I know how much this car means to him. And I kind of wanted to have it as well because I was like, oh, look, you love this car, and I have it, and that's cool, I recently learned a phrase yesterday when I was having lunch with my girlfriend. One of our friends literally said the term male autism. I think this is male autism right here. Like, literally, my friend has it. I want it. That's it. Moving on is the Ginetta G56 GT4. Again, that was awarded before. GTR Nismo. Yeah, I wanted the GTR Nismo. I think it's only been out once. I'm not sure if they gave out a rerun for that. That's a good one. Again, it's not like a prize car that I love. I mean, sorry, it's not a prize car that I need, but it's a prize car that I love. It's a beautiful car, beautiful photo, everything about it. Really wish I got that. McLaren P1 is next. I feel like this one I didn't really want it. I felt like I needed it, especially at the time when I didn't win it. It was one of the best legendary prize cars in the game at the time. I would say that I needed it. Yeah, I needed it. I didn't want it, but I needed it. Because I have the P1 GTR, which is a better car, and they're both performance tires anyway. Then we have the KTM Expo GTX that was awarded before. Bentley Continental GT3. I want to say filler, but like it's good filler. Like it can be useful specifically in Bentley events. It handles pretty well. MRI is okay. But I think it's just shy of like the I needed it category. The Hyundai i20 WRC, I really needed it. It's 100 handling, it's 4-wheel drive, it's off-road. That one hurt a lot. So I'm gonna put that like at the top right now. That one hurt a lot, missing on that. I think it was a special tag challenge as well. MAGT is probably one of the prize cards that I have wanted the most for the longest time. I would say that if any car was given a rerun, I think the BMW M8 GT would be like top 2. I need to just look at the current list all over again to see if there was actually a car that would triumph this. But for now, put this at the top. The MU GT is just a car that I freaking love. Like I love that car. So I mean, as 108, 109 handling when you max it out, right? And also great for BMW events. So I really wish I had that in my garage. It's an OG one. It came out in like 2020. Haven't seen it in like 4 years. BMW 760. I feel like maybe I needed it. At the time, there wasn't much hype around it. I just thought it was gonna be some heavy, you know, standard tire car. It doesn't handle very well, doesn't turn very well. But, you know, if you can max it out, it brings you value. So, I mean, I guess the caveat is that you would have to max it out. But the Shining Shadow is pretty cool, you know. I say I needed it. You know, in retrospect, I think it's pretty cool. Mazda Sky Active is filler. Couldn't say yes go attack. I needed it. I really did. I mean, it's a fantastic fast circuit car. Missed out on that. I think it was like earlier this year, late last year, something like that. Wish I got it, but I think the prize requirements or the prize car requirements were just so far off the mark for me. I just didn't even bother to try. It was probably something like that. Roof RTR. I never needed it. I didn't really want it. I guess it's filler. But there is a significant story about the RTR. I was really close in getting it. I was like 11th place. And this was back when top 10 would get the prize car. So I was just shy of getting it. And it's a little bit annoying because it's never been re-released. It's never been rerun. So in a sense, this is a pretty rare prize car now because this came out like almost 5 years ago, right? Then we have the Mazda 787B. It feels wrong to put it in filler, but it also feels wrong to put it in I needed it because I had a chance to redeem this prize car. It came back alongside, I believe it was the SCG. But obviously, instead of going for the 787B, I went for the SCG instead. Maybe it's fair to say that I needed the prize car. It's just that I needed the SCG more. So yeah, that's a good way to summarize it. The Veneno Roadster is next. I wanted it to be fair. And I think the main reason that I was so driven to trying to collect that car was because it's red, because of the photo, because of the color. If the Veneno was in any other color, I feel like I would want it less, honestly. I'm just biased towards red colored cars because red is my favorite color. It's a pretty good looking photo as well. I wouldn't say it's a good looking car. I feel like if I seen this in a different photo, like orange for example, I might not want it anymore. But this was given out, I think it was like Christmas. I think it was like a Christmas challenge, but I didn't miss out. I missed out on that. The Bugatti, LVM. I'm gonna say it was filler. Mainly because it's actually worse than the Chiron Sport. So I didn't really need it because I own the Chiron Sport. The Devo, if I remember correctly, is actually slightly better than the Chiron Sport. So for that reason, and also because I wanted it because it was a good looking car. I mean, they are relatively similar to be honest, but I would have taken the Devo over the LVN any day. XGR9, I wanted it. XGR9 remains the only legendary prize car which I didn't win, which I tried to get by upgrading legends. Usually when I upgrade a legend, I'm already gonna get the prize car. Like, it means I'm going all in, right? But I upgraded a legend for the Jaguar XJR9 and I still didn't get it. It was a Lamborghini Murcielago, and that's why I have a hatred for Lamborghinis and top drives. Because even when you upgrade them, they're still freaking useless. Moving on is the Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT. I'm gonna put this in like top 3 of I wanted it. I really did want it, but I think the requirements were just too far off reality. Like, I would have to spend like so much money to try and get the Cayenne Turbo GT. And like, although I love the car, I just knew that it wasn't going to be that useful because it didn't have off-road tires. It's going to be, you know, an all-surface tire, like slightly better version of a Urus, but it's not that bad because if I fully upgrade my Urus, then it would still be better than the Cayenne Turbo GT kind of thing. So I wasn't that driven to get it, but I definitely love the car. So I put it up there, but I think I'll only get it if the requirements are really in my favor. Lancia Delta S for a rally. I'm gonna put it with the 787B because it was the same scenario where I had a chance of getting the Delta S4, but I opted for choosing another car. So because of that, yeah, I needed it. Then we have the Sesto Elemento. I want to say filler. Yeah, I know I put the Veneno here and the Sesto is a better car, but I want the Veneno, you know? I didn't really want the Pesto Elemento. And I don't think I needed these two cars. So if I didn't